Right. Thank you very much, Bhavna, for joining us tonight. It's been really an honor for me to have you because I've seen some of your videos, and most particularly the video that you interview Mr. John Jandai. So I guess that's a very good starting point for us because I have talked to Mr. Jandai as well back in 2019 before the pandemic.
Mm,
Yes, and then every now and then when I feel challenged, um, I am sometimes reminded about his words. Sometimes I watch back his interviews or his TED talks, and amazing because each time I listen to him, I get new ideas. And then sometimes,
First, thank you. Firstly, I want to say sawadika and namaste as well. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be part of your recording and bring awareness on any kind of topic you want to discuss about, and of course, making a difference. Sharing and discussion.
yes, thank you so much. So basically, our format here is we try to interview our guests and understand some backstory, what
Mm,
they are doing,
mm,
and then we will talk about a few major turning points, maybe three or maybe even more uh, so far in their life, right?
mm,
How these turning points has shaped and guided their trajectory moving forward.
mm.
Basically, it's about our journey and experiences, and things like that. So I would like to start with some basic introduction, some brief introduction about where you come from and what you are currently doing at the moment.
Okay, so where we come from, I'm the child of the universe. But yeah, I was born to an Indian family, and I was born in Pune in India. And when I was about 4 months, my parents, the family moved to Taiwan. So basically, you can say I grew up a little bit in Taiwan until they decided to move to Thailand. And when I was about 8, yeah, and then I grew up in Bangkok, and it was a very interesting cultural shift as being the eldest, but at the same time you're so young and you don't know when you're born where your journey is going to take you. So you just go with the flow with what the parents are deciding. And like I said, I must have lived so many lives with different cultures and understanding the soul journey with this family. And it's quite it's interesting to see that at this point of time, how how we grew as a family, understanding and knowing each other, right, as parents and siblings. I do a lot of things. I feel like as I was growing up, I started to recognize the creator in me. Uh, there are so many ideas when you're a child. I wanted to even be a private detective. I wanted to write for films, even write and act. I somehow sometimes didn't even like some of the storylines. So I was like, I want to write it. I don't want to watch that. So I had ideas, stuff going on in my mind. But I think universe or the God within you, the creator within you, knows the moment you have this connection and you start building a very strong association with that, you kind of understand that you are able to do a lot of things. So basically, writing, passion, and the growth in writing as a writer, as author, poetry. I love poetry and literature, of course. I do research work, so I have two published journals, which one got an award and from the World Council, and writing short stories and doing healing work. So existential counseling, I kind of blended with Reiki as a Reiki teacher and mindfulness. So mindfulness, different approaches with NLP as well, and how all of this kind of leads us to be a conscious and a much more better person of ourselves, right? And of course, I meditate, and above all, I'm an educator as well. So I teach secondary to high school, upper primary sometimes, and undergrad. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's like it's a journey going round and growing within that journey. Yeah.
Definitely. So that means when you came to Bangkok, you were 8 years old. Perhaps that time you were in grade one or grade two or
When I came, I entered grade three.
grade three.
So my you can say my kindergarten was in a Chinese school, and then I did grade one. So I went when I came to Bangkok. Yes, I entered grade three,
Yes.
and I only knew Mandarin and English. So I was that person, that kid with long hair, and teachers were quite amused that this little girl, she speaks too much and she speaks too fast, and you are learning because you're coming from a different country,
Yes.
and the way the teachers over there treat you, talk to you, is very different than the teachers I encountered at that time.
Oh,
And sometimes the teachers would call you names and you talk so much, you're so talkative. But then today, when I'm an educator, I tell myself, if children don't talk, they're not children.
yes.
And especially if they're curious, if they ask so many questions and they kind of have an opinion for something, you
Yes.
want to know where is their mind leading them to.
That's right. Exactly. So, can I ask, like, what kind of school that you went to? Was it an international school where you have?
Yes, yes. International school in Bangkok, Trail
Uh,
International School.
uh,
So my high school was over there. And
uh,
then my undergrad was University of Bradford
I see.
and undergrad, and then master's was in Assumption University in Thailand as well. And
Uh,
along the way, I have been doing courses here and there.
uh,
And recently, I think we live in a world of documentation and growing. So I did the postgrad with Liverpool as well. Yeah.
right. So, from your second primary school in the international school setting, who are mostly your friends? Like, I would say a very diverse group of friends, right?
Every stage of life, I met different people. So I don't have any friends from Taiwan. Now that's interesting because usually you kind of keep in touch, but we were growing in the era of without internet.
Yeah.
And, we did have some letter writing, and then book is gone.
Yeah.
My close friends that I encountered and met and came across them was actually in Bangkok.
Mm,
I met a lot of good friends over my high school years, and
yeah.
it has been fascinating because we are still friends today. And when I went to university, my undergrad, I met another set of friends who are also very good friends, and we're still friends today. And I have also a lot of young and diverse friendship friends, like my ex students, the writer group. You go to conferences, you meet different people. Some you connect with, and some you don't.
Yes. Right.
you
Right.
know, you're
Right.
like, oh, okay, you have healthy boundaries. That's okay.
Yes. Do you always know what you wanted to do, like what you're doing right now? Have you discovered it, you know, in your early years, or how did you come about having ideas doing what you do at the moment?
I always knew that I am going to do something creative. That's for sure. But I did not know that when I teach, I will reach undergrad or I will go to that level. And I think when it comes to public speaking, you are growing, you're learning, you're talking, and then you have conferences, you travel, you meet different people, and you're sharing all sort of things. So I did not know that I would reach there. So it's basically like, the works have been weaving together,
Yeah.
and weaving and moving forward, that the craft of learning, it's never going to end. So it's just that I didn't know that. And of course, I didn't know that I would write research papers, or I would be quite good at it, or understand research methodology and have fun doing it, you know.
Right. Do you come from a family whereby everybody loves to read, like your dad, your mom?
Oh no, no.
Oh, okay.
That's I you know, like you are my family, nobody likes to read. My mom, she said when she was young, she did like to read at some point and hear stories from my grandfather. But then everyone lost connection. Everyone runs away from creativity in terms of reading. No one is a reader and no one is a writer. And I do have my dad's sister who likes to read, and she likes to keep herself updated with things. And she has her own, journey of advancement. But it's very interesting that how the things that no one does or no one even thought of. I'm in that person. I mean, I was born in that way. So maybe my journey wasn't so easy because I was the person who was breaking the norms and learning how to say no. Because you know how, as a creative person and as a person who wants to grow, you don't understand what is happening to you because you feel like you're this growing tree, but someone doesn't want to water it, you know. And then I learned how to water it myself, nurture it myself,
Right.
and then doing what I'm doing.
Okay. Next question I would like to ask is spirituality and mindfulness something big in your family? Going,
Mm,
is it
mm.
something that like your parents, do they do meditation, or your siblings, uh, into mindfulness?
Nothing. No, nobody got into meditation. No one. At the age of 26, I got the calling, and I started heartfulness meditation. I started the hard way, and I also learned a lot of things because I was also facing a lot of things.
Mm,
Being born in Indian family,
mm,
especially when people are also in their own journey, learning about changes,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So they are binded by a lot of community and societal, and not only that, fixed mindsets.
yeah,
So we are along that journey, and being the firstborn, uh, they would definitely have a lot of plans for you.
yeah.
So I would say at that time, no meditation. Uh, when I say mindfulness, I cannot say that no one practiced mindfulness, but whether they were mindful or not, they were.
Mm,
You
right.
know, there's a big difference. They're learning. They got me educated at somehow, even though it was not a very easy journey, but they did. They were also learning and understanding the essence of growth at the same time. So the thing is, they were mindful and they are still mindful, you know, at certain a lot of aspects, and they're trying to evolve as well, you know, but
Right.
maybe their journey is completely opposite than what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The reason I'm touching on all this is because I want to explore how the formative years actually, shape a person as well. I mean, parents, they always have parental, expectation, but
Mm.
some do it in a
Yes,
way that's
yes, yes,
very rigid, but some do it in a
yes,
way like, okay, we have expectation for you, but you are free, right, to choose, you know. We give you a, certain space where you can really develop, to a certain extent, whereas some other set of parents would be, but you have expectation and you just follow everything. So how would you describe your situation?
I didn't have much choices when I was growing up. I wasn't given a lot of choices. uh, it was a certain plan that I am supposed to fulfill. Like especially probably okay, when you study and you already have your master's, why can't you get a job that is that like you're highly paid, for example? A lot of people face that, right?
Yeah,
And why don't you do work in this kind of field or work in that kind of field so that you just get more money? It was more about how much money you make or how much money you're getting in a month, rather than what is your growth mentally, emotionally,
yeah,
physically, and then spiritually. There was a huge disconnect in that way. And then you kind of like, I felt like at every part of my life as a teenager, and then becoming a young adult, and then adult, and then you're older, you are, you know, a full, you are kind of fulfilling those gaps and crossing the bridges, and you're like, okay, you know, this is what we're going to do. And when it came to certain plans, whether it was, oh, you have to get married at a certain age, what's the point of doing this because you're going to be doing XYZ. I went through all of that. There were times where so many things were just like, you know, you feel like you're around conspiracy theories because now you're educated, you're becoming aware. And it's not about the education through books. You become aware and now you feel connected. You're like, there are these conspiracy theories, and what are they doing around me? And I'm not going to follow the pattern that I was supposed to follow the pattern. So I didn't get married. I'm still not married right now. And I feel that it's so easy for everyone. Like, you know, recently I was seeing, I'm not so sure if you know Sadhguru. You know
Oh,
Sadhguru?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So the things that I used to say when I was like 15 or 20, it's amazing to see people, the gurus right now, saying the same things, and even much more, in a much more progressive and a direct way, that a lot of people around you, they would listen to them, you know, that kind of thing. So he mentions like human beings, when you're a man or when you're a woman, for example, women, people see them, they objectify them, right? That you are born at this age, you get married at this age, you're supposed to have children. If not one child, then why another, not another child, and so on. So the thing is, I didn't see it that way. I see relationship as a companionship, as a friendship so deep that it's between two people, that it's going to flow in a way. So uh, when you come back to understanding the journey and the questions, like you said, the family definitely had different plans, different thought process, but the best part is they grew along with me.
Beautiful.
They kind of accepted, they kind of like, okay, and they've always been quite supportive now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, do you see the kind of struggle that I would say, I mean, quote unquote, because at the end of the day, you know, parents also provide us a lot of support and things like that. But struggle in
Mm,
terms of, you know, the direction and what you want to do with your life and that kind of, you know, how it reconcile with their expectation. So what I'm trying to ask here is, do you see that in your students? And if you do, right, how do you approach that? Because I see a lot of that in my students, you know.
you do you mean like supporting the students,
Uh,
how to encourage them?
yes, how to encourage them, or sometimes what I see in the classroom is students are here because, okay, put it this way, I'm in a situation where I teach in a business school, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of overseas students, meaning a
Mm.
lot of Asian students, right, sent by their parents. Some of them, you know, they don't know
Yeah,
what they want to
yeah,
do,
yeah,
so they do a
yeah,
business degree, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So my job is, of course, to teach what I'm supposed to teach, right? Management, academic writing, you know,
Yeah, I
how to write a
understand.
marketing plan.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also try to tell them something about life, right? About how, you know, how much more potential they will tap on, right? If they were to look inside, or if they were more in touch with
Mm,
what they have in their heart, like what you mentioned
mm,
about, you discover the, you know, the creator in you, all right, and now it's a matter of the vehicle in which you create through. It
mm,
could be from
mm.
painting, it could be from dancing, it could be engineering, and you have
Yeah.
chosen writing, right, and poetry.
Mm,
See,
mm, mm.
so I just like to, yeah, hear from you.
I feel that, you know, the moment you become an educator,
Yeah.
and I've been teaching for almost 19 years now. So, I'm sure you're much more longer and experienced, but the thing is that when you teach marketing or advertising or creative stuff and human resource or management, the bottom line is you can never choose your students because you have no idea what's coming. But I feel somehow your student chooses you. And sometimes students come to you by default, so they don't know, and I think it's a new encounter. They're going to meet you. So we go on with the summative and formative tasks like normal,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I put a lot of creativity and think out of the box. And what happens there is, if they are coming, so whether it's French, Russian, Chinese, and so on, the thing is that, or German, the thing is that they are learning a different kind of teaching or learning, especially from their home country, because that's not the way they were learning. So when they're learning something different, they kind of learn, they get accustomed to it. They start to sometimes accept, reject, and so on. So when we have like Burmese students or Filipino students, the way they were learning in their home country is different. However, when everybody lands up in one classroom as diversity, it is so important to listen. And you will have acceptance, you will have rejection. Now when it comes to encouraging what they are, you kind of and you kind of learn which student has what kind of quality, and you kind of praise them. Of course, you don't overdo it, you're not fabricating it, but
Yeah.
you kind of positive reinforcement is very, very important. And they love to tell you stories. I have listened to so many stories. They have so many plans. Now the thing is, they have a plan, they have an imagination. We and how to connect that together
Yeah.
is very important, rather than reject it or tell them that whatever you're saying is not possible unless it's unrealistic. And if it's not realistic, they will definitely struggle. But in most cases, there's always a possibility of so many things. I always tell everyone that there is a possibility if you want it to be possible.
Yeah.
But it depends also sometimes what relationship they have with their family. But in most cases, many of them right now are learning. They're learning to tell their parents, we want to do this, we do want to do that, especially Chinese children.
Yeah.
And now when they are traveling across the globe, there's a huge population of Chinese students in Australia. So you would understand that they're coming and they're so excited, they're so creative. My books, a couple of my books, the drawing um, was actually discovered in the classroom. So I was teaching human resource management,
Yeah.
and I see one of my students, she's doodling. Okay, she's doodling while listening to me, and I asked her that, "You okay? You understand?" And she's like, "When I'm studying, I like to also do artwork." That's her way of learning. She's not disrespecting me or anything like that, but she's learning. And she just showed me some random doodling, okay? And when I saw it, I told her that, do you like to be an artist? She's like, I would love to draw. I would like to do art. So I said, how about if someone like comes to you and gives you an opportunity to draw or to do artwork, would you do it? Would that be like your dream come true? And she said, oh, I would love, I would wish, and all that. And I said, I'll make that happen. Would you like to do my book cover? And I would like it to be exactly like that. And I have this one, gratitude, good news, and guidelines.
Wow.
It is actually one of the student doodling in the classroom,
Wow.
Chinese student, and you later I can get your poster. I'll send you a couple of books.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, I encountered that. So I feel the first thing is encouragement, listening, because a person can have more than one skills. I
Yeah.
think nowadays, I believe that people are multifaceted with different diverse skills. They're not good at one thing. Our brain is amazing. We could do so many things. How to be able to use our left side and a right side of brain is very important. So when we are not only using the cognitive side and understanding behavioral skill, we're using both together. We learn the creative skills, and we are able to craft, go deeper within the thing, within the logic side. But at the same time, you have to. I think every educator should learn how to be a mentor and a coach as well, and less of I'm here to teach you.
Yes. So
You
true.
know, if we are having the coaching and the mentoring skills within us while being an educator, we will also discover that we are also learning from students.
So true. So true. Um, do you become a teacher first before you become, let's say, a Reiki practitioner? Or,
Yeah.
okay.
I did meditation while I was already teaching. Started my early years of teaching, and then went to Reiki. Then I got, yeah, Reiki. I discovered Reiki when I was 16 in my high school, and I
Nice.
wanted to learn when I was 17. But my mom said, no, you're not going to learn that, because um nobody was aware about it, and something that you're not aware. And it came to me. I met a good teacher over the years, in the past, during that time, and I learned from her. And the thing is that I just feel like it just went on and on. And then mindfulness, and then counseling. I think counseling and positive reinforcement, or even listening to negative things, very important to tell students not every day is going to be a good day, and telling ourselves that not every day is going to be positive, but how can we um, overcome this kind of mindset. That's where EQ, emotional intelligence, comes. So emotional intelligence is very much taught in university when it comes to human resource, organizational behavior, management. So I do all of that. And when you have corporate trainings, educational leadership, very important to train the teachers about that as well, because many teachers don't are not really aware about that.
That's right. That's right. So the reason I asked you that question is because, you know, you are a lifelong learner,
Yeah.
and because you teach because you have the passion, right, to nurture and to share your experiences with the students. And obviously then you learn more about mindfulness, about Reiki, and then you'll find that this might complement and help them even more in the
Mm,
classroom, right?
mm,
It could be through human resource management, it could be through
mm,
Reiki,
mm,
but
mm.
like, yeah, you are making a positive impact on others' lives.
I'm sure you're doing it too, because you're teaching business. So when we have management, right? I
Mm,
created a hypothetical organization. I put all my students in the organizational chart, and we had that kind of simulation. But the thing is, even for management and organizational behavior, you do have stress management, crisis management, and you can actually do a little bit of breathing exercises, or like a 5-minute meditation with the students. I've done it with a couple of students before.
mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. We'd like to talk about some of your maybe 2 or 3 major turning points in your life, and maybe you can take us through how it unfolded and how it has shaped you.
The three major points is one is education. The second, I would put work and rejection together. And the third would be spirituality and creativity. So, education is important because everyone has the right to educate themselves and learn. But when we say education, we're not only looking at the number of degrees,
Yeah.
but the way it shaped me was the eagerness to learn and being permitted to learn. You know, we when we ask permission, can we study or can we learn this? We shouldn't be facing too many difficulties for permission, but yet we do. A lot of people, they are facing permission, they don't have access to good education, or they don't have access to schools, or for me, when I was growing to learn, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to learn. I learned a lot from teachers. I learned a lot from their rejection. I learned a lot from when sometimes the teacher says you're not good enough. And when you are just in high school, and how the educators would actually shape your life, but at the same time crush you somewhere. And then you kind of make it, maybe because somewhere they made it happen for you, you know. So for me, education was a big turning point because I learned a lot of things. I learned how to accept. I learned that when it comes to creating, when it comes to learning, when it comes to sharing, it is important. Also, when it comes to education, as much as I would give credit to my educators, I would also say education from uh, from your parents was important. So that was a big turning point on learning. At the same time, you also learn that girls don't get so much privileges to uh, go to reach or do a lot of high level degrees. um, not for It's not for all families. Not all families would allow that, or they would be a little there would be a little hesitance and scared that shall we not, but then they kind of dive into it and say go for it, you know. And then the next turning point is working and rejection. We face a lot of rejections. I'm sure you, me, children, there is a huge difference between saying no for healthy boundaries and just for rejection. We meet a lot of people who are always going to say and feel that they are better than you. So you will have rejection. A lot of acceptances sometimes happens only through connection,
Mhm.
and you are rejected. And this is happening globally. Schools are also now incorporating inclusive education. Yet, when it comes to choosing educators, they are many schools want to have more white people. This is a fact. So the thing is that uh, when you are looking at that, when we talk about internationalism, we talk about diversity, we tell the children in classroom that you got to teamwork, you got to learn from each other. But at the same time, behind the doors, somebody of non-color, of something that is not suitable, is rejected. Jobs, if you just Google jobs, many countries post jobs like, that's how I was rejected many times. I would love to travel and get a PhD in a different country, and I believe that I could, but I would probably be rejected because I'm not a certain type of color, or because I could teach. If I had the opportunity to teach in Oxford, Harvard, why not? But maybe because we couldn't shape ourselves to go to that extent, because the schools, they want people from Canada, New Zealand, and so on, or Australia. You Google job opportunities, or even in the writing world, they sometimes have criteria. We are looking only for XYZ culture. How can education, or how can growth happen, or how can conscious lifestyle happen when you are contradicting goals and policies? And in the classroom, everybody is inclusive. If we come to understanding that we all are human beings and we all are growing together, and we are uh, ready to provide great learning, I'm sure then there's progress,
Yep.
you know? So rejection, I have been rejected even for stories. Sometimes through connection, people get published. Finding an agent will be difficult. Sometimes people want you to pay so much money to get published, or they have certain demands that are just so unrealistic, and you're like, but you write.
Yeah.
Why are you making it so difficult? And sometimes you have writer friends who are quite advanced and they're very good writers. Some of them are very grounded and very friendly. Some of them are absolutely not. The vibe the vibe they would uh, I would say the vibe they would expose through energy or the way they would talk would be like, oh, I'm better than you, that kind of attitude,
Yes.
and it's so difficult. But if we want people to be more creative, uh, then let's say I'm not there, but you are.
Yes.
I can learn from you. You can probably guide me and tell me, hey, you know what? Why don't you try writing the story and then send it to this journal? And I'll be like, oh, thanks for the opportunity. How are we not providing opportunities?
Exactly.
So, and that's one thing. And the last is spirituality and creativity. That was a turning point because I must say that when you're very young and you get into meditation or you get into hardcore learning and self reflection, you are changing the course of your entire DNA and healing your ancestral cells. And whatever your belief system is, you have just started reprogramming
Mm.
without even knowing it.
Right.
So, in the spiritual practices, you are going to find so many aspects, mental, emotional, and maybe past lives, if you believe that. But if you feel that you have connection, your intuition, you will also know that every time you're only healing at a different cellular level,
Right.
and your body is already inside flow. What about the external flow? And creativity, there's no end for creativity.
Right.
There's many kind of creativity. So the turning point is, how do you create or sometimes write the things that you never imagined you would write? So during COVID, there were people, I think from the States, they were doing anthology, and you write poetry for them. And a very good project that was published last year by Singapore Singlet Station. They
Yes.
wanted to create a poetry. I have one. It's an anthology of life and death,
Oh.
and there are a lot of writers, and they represent different countries basically. So for Thailand, of course, there's Thai poetry, and you need to translate it, and you need to screen them for what is going to be published. So I did not do I did not do the 100% translation because I'm not that great. So I'm actually owning it, and I helped. So two of us basically helped in screening and understanding the poetry. At that point, rejecting someone's experience on palliative care or losing a loved one, it's not easy, but you have a certain choice of poems that you have to choose. So we just went with the flow. And of course, the final decisions and everything was done by Singapore. So I feel like this was one of the projects that I've never done. And when I was asked, I think it was a very beautiful, experience to understand that kind of writing as well.
Yes. Um, can you tell us a little bit about mindfulness and meditation? What is the goal of a meditator, and the way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is the so-called goal or purpose. I mean,
Mm,
of course, you cannot have too much goal. I mean, it cannot be too goal oriented because end of the day,
mm,
then we can't let go, right?
yeah.
But
Mm,
the quote unquote goal that we need to have is so that we are more conscious than we used to be, right?
yes. Yeah.
Within the 24 hours, more, for a longer period, because I believe sometimes we are more conscious than other times. Maybe in a 24-hour span, perhaps for 2 minutes, very conscious. And then the rest is basically not in the right, not in the present moment,
Very
always
true.
thinking of something else.
Yeah, that's very true, because that's what we are learning, right? How to be in the present moment, because we are not very good at it. And we are either thinking about the past, or either we are thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there's a misconception that mindfulness equals meditation. But mindfulness has, under mindfulness, You have a lot of things and a lot of practices and activities that people can actually learn to become mindful. One of them is meditation, one of them is yoga. You have creative exercises. Mindfulness kind of connects you with the self awareness, that how there's even mindful eating. So let's say you're eating something, and how is the flavor? um, do you enjoy the food? And you find like simple potato, I mean, I like potato chips sometimes, right? So I mean, I eat it. So imagine I'm enjoying the taste of simple potato chip. I'm enjoying the crunchiness. So similarly, if one person is coming to understand how to be in the moment or eat mindfully, then you are going to not do 10 million things at that one time while you're eating, but you are going to detach yourself and you are going to focus on one thing at a time. That's why you have walking meditation as well. Now, walking meditation can be when you go to Buddhist temples and you go for retreats, they have walking meditation too, nature therapy. But you also have in mindfulness practices where you walk and connect with nature. And mindfulness is not a quick fix. It doesn't really like tell you, okay, you do this, and it is something that, like you said, it's a process, and you got to trust the process. It's like swimming. It's like exercising. It's like you have to keep doing it to get better, and writing. And at the same time, like painting, the more you do something, you kind of you don't stop. I would say mindfulness is like breathing oxygen.
Mm. Yes, yes.
You cannot separate it. There will be, it kind of connects you with a deep association with your neurobiological aspects, where you understand emotions, you understand the inter and the intra communication. You understand that, okay, I'm breathing now. When I'm anxious, for example, my breathing is different, but when I'm calm, the breathing is different. When there's too many things, I want to have a digital detox. I want to have a nature therapy. That can also be mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about consciousness, about emotional intelligence, how we are training our mind to come and live in the present, but at the same time acknowledging and accepting how we are actually going to grow. So a lot of people think mindfulness means religion, but it's not. In Buddhism, yes, it is derived from Buddhism, for mindfulness meditation, because of the amazing practices that they have, right? But mindfulness has nothing to do with religion. We do not need mindless community humanity. We need a mindful humanity, because if there is no mindful humanity, then how are we going to protect the ecosystem?
Yes.
How is everyone going to live a sustainable life? How is consumerism not going to be eaten up by greed?
Mm.
So mindfulness helps us deliver. But at the same time, we with mindfulness leadership, for example, I would say also is that you need mindful leaders. They are running the countries, they are running the schools.
Yeah.
You find them everywhere. And when you're working in a company, if your leader is not mindful, doesn't have good coaching and supportive skills, and doesn't initiate brainstorming, and doesn't have all those things, then something is wrong. So I think now at this point of time, more and more people talk about mindfulness, because they're becoming aware that humanity needs to evolve and needs to be nurtured. Their pain needs to be nurtured and healed. Otherwise, they're coming out with depression, with bipolarism, switch behavior. You talk to like somebody can talk to you so nicely, and suddenly get so mad. Or somebody is talking to you in a very rude and aggressive way, but the moment someone else talks to them, they have such a different behavior. So you have gaslighting, you have narcissism, you have these kind of behavior that people before psychologically never addressed it. but today they do. And they are telling you how to observe the body language, where NLP kind of tells you that. But at the same time, if you are doing healing work, but even when you're learning, I would say every student in and every curriculum, they should add EQ, they should add mindfulness for undergrad, not as a separate subject, but do whatever you want, but live a conscious lifestyle,
Yeah,
so that no one is telling you not to go shopping, but no one is also telling you to just keep polluting the earth. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's something that people need to learn.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Uh, about noticing our emotion and exactly. So let's say we notice our emotion, like for example, when I get anxious, when I have certain thoughts, I feel anxious, right? I suddenly start to breathe more faster. So I notice that is better than not able to notice it, right? So I'm becoming more mindful. So now that I notice my breathing is faster, what is the next step? Is there some next step I need to do after the awareness?
So come to the thought, why are you anxious? Ask yourself why. Where's this coming? Is it fear? Something happened? So acknowledge the root cause of this anxiety rather than ignoring where this is coming from and why is it happening. Does it happen often, or does it happen because of XYZ situation? What are the trigger points? And once you kind of start seeing that, you are going to realize that if you don't acknowledge it soon, you could end up getting suicidal thoughts. You could end up becoming depressed. You could the more you're going to not think of, and your brain is going to secrete chemicals that will make you feel more emotional. And let's not forget about our amygdala. Let's not forget about the happy chemicals. They can be clouded, I would say. I wouldn't say that they vanish. They don't vanish. They're in your system. But the thing is that you can end up getting a panic attack. And when you're so sweaty, you
Yeah.
could end up getting low blood pressure. You could end up having a heart attack. I mean, there is a possibility. A lot of young teenagers and people in their 20s, 30s, they get, when they overwork, all the office people, the people who work and they have long hours of work, when they're working and they're so anxious, you will see a certain nervous system body movement because they're so stressed. Then then the avoidance behavior starts, withdrawal symptoms start.
Yes. Yes.
And by the time you even acknowledge it, sometimes it's too late. You have already turned to a different person.
Actually, what you were saying just now, just 2 seconds ago and maybe 2 minutes ago, I was thinking about what happened at the Oscars, right? The recent Oscars. So
Oh, yeah.
this
Oh,
one person is
yes.
doing is it was enjoying the joke and enjoying the moment, and then suddenly he did a completely opposite thing. Do you have something to say about that?
Everybody's talking about it. Oh, my God. I feel
and
the
also,
fact.
yeah,
Yeah.
please go ahead. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
please tell me, what were
it's
you going to
interesting.
say?
I think it's like just because we want to be mindful doesn't mean we can be that. I mean, that guy even invited Sadhguru to his home.
I was just going to say that. Okay. So this is where the superficial, and this is where illusion comes. Now you will see, um, I do like Will Smith a lot, and I also like Chris Rock. I think both of them are amazing in their own way. But the fact that sometimes we commercialize spirituality, we commercialize positive thinking and affirmation, it looks so good on us that we start forgetting the reality. Okay. And then I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that Will Smith is aware of. He's not a first time entertainer. He's been in the industry for years. I'm sure he has unresolved issues. I'm sure he needs to talk to people, but he's not getting to talk to the right people, maybe. That At the same time, he could also be overwhelmed with that kind of pain that his wife or that his wife is going through. It's like someone who's already gone through certain health issues. It's like someone making fun of cancer. Now, it's not even Chris Rock's fault because Chris Rock was just doing his thing.
Yeah.
And people actually write scripts and they actually go through the lawyers. They actually go through, they verify. So after verification, the question here is how far does a law allow human beings to be exploited and you can joke about them on public space, especially if something was kind of private. So that's the question. So when here it made me think about that. I mean, it made me think that when people go publicly and they say, oh, we are comedians, we're joking, but what are you joking about? Now, over the years, I'm sure Will Smith, Chris Rock, and so many other entertainers, they have joked a lot on public space and they have said nasty things to each other. But you know what? Endurance. People laughed about it. They got pissed off, but they just watched because somehow it triggered them. And I'm sure they must have found some kind of way to understand that. His trigger reacted so badly that it just went messed up. And not only that, when his son tweeted, not sure if you know about what the son tweeted. The son tweeted, this is how we do it in our house, or this is how we roll it, or this is what we do. It kind of questions that is it okay to be violent, or is it okay to hit somebody or slap someone on public space like that? There will be times in life that you get really upset with someone because they have not only crossed boundaries, they've crushed, you feel like they've crushed your soul. I've experienced like being aware that sometimes your friend may what your friend is doing to you, but you're still smiling and talking and going with the flow with that just 1% that maybe that person one day will realize and know that you know what's going on. But sometimes people don't realize that they go up to the end to crush you or try to do that. They try to crush you and then you lose friendship and everybody changes their life. But then at the same time, the best part is you are aware of it. You knew this. Now, are you going to waste time getting more angry and seeking revenge? Or are we just going to heal ourselves and cut boundaries and just disassociate? And we need to learn that. Now, what happened was public. So everybody has a lot of opinions from all kind of aspects. Is it completely Will's fault? Maybe 90%. Because he reacted, you assaulted someone, and maybe 80%. But yes, they all need healing. They
Yeah.
all need to talk about it. They all need to understand that how did your healing or outburst became that point. And you know what? We are seeing a celebrity doing it. Has anyone asked how many people do that indoors in their houses?
Yeah. True. True.
Domestic violence. Has anyone ever seen that it happens not only between husband and wife, but even sometimes siblings, or it's happening at work?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Because I mean, yeah, it's true. Because some of us might have done worse than him, maybe. you know, not.
Yeah, but because he's a celebrity, everyone is attacking him. Has anyone seen what is happening with the government or happening with the police or happening with corruption or happening in XYZ countries or institutions or whatever that need help?
That's true.
But
That's
you're
true.
but you're ignoring that and you're paying so much of attention on what Will Smith did. He should just go on a retreat and check what the hell just happened. And both of them need to talk and see what happened. But kudos to Chris Rock
Yeah.
to
That's right. That's right.
just to withstand it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the the debriefing. Oh, okay. I would like to also ask you about uh, John Jandai because you have personally seen him and you have interviewed him. Uh, what would you like to share with the world about John's story?
I met John years ago when he was on stage talking. I actually shared before I met him. I shared his TEDx talk in my business ethics class, and I like the way he came. He came on the stage wearing old clothes,
Yeah.
repeated clothes, and the best part about what John is trying to say to the world or sharing to communities is sustainable living, or at least ability to repeat your clothes,
Yeah.
or at least try to live in a much more healthy way. And that's where when I saw and when I met him, I went to his farm. He has a beautiful farm. It's very simple. You learn about nature, you learn about soil, you learn about protecting the soil. The truth is, what I would like to say about John's work, and I would say that personally, and what Sadhguru is also doing it right now,
Yes.
save soil. There's so much of contamination and GMO and too many processed things happening around us that John is trying to educate people in agriculture, students out there who are in business and learning consumer behavior and so on, and entrepreneurs, um, and agriculture field, always learn that no matter how much we grow in our business, until we are not ethical, not about the wrong and the right, we need to really be conscious. How far are we going to go to make profit? And how far are we going to give in to AI or robotic to to humanity? Because the people are the ones creating it. It didn't come from anywhere. So it's very important to establish conscious living lifestyle. It's important for people to go with the flow. Don't knock yourself in this whole, yes, competition is good, it's healthy, but make it healthy, not make it, um, don't make it a disease, a virus that we end up that we forget to help people and empower each other and study, learn. Don't just do one certification and think you're able to do it all. If you like it, if you want to do that and it makes you happy and you feel that it's going to teach you something, whatever field it is in, learn, improve in that. You know, that's important, and share and help other people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We come to the end of this, interview, this conversation. If you were to give one line of advice or a piece of, you know, um, you know, sharing, right, with our audiences or our young people, right, what would you say, right, to encapsulate it in line?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say there's so many things to tell them, right? But I would say go with the flow, follow your heart. You can do it. Be creative. Don't disconnect from creativity and live life. Live the essence of life, because your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual journey, and make it musical. Some days are not going to be good. Sometimes, some days, some weeks, some months may not be good, but it's not the end of the world. You can thrive, you can come out of it, and you can actually be better than what you were. And you never know, you discover so many amazing things about yourself.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me and just sharing all sort of things.
I can't thank you enough because you spend a lot of of your precious time here and
Oh,
let's
no,
just
no. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for, um, I would say, adjusting. Thank you for just, okay, let's do this. And then, trying to find the same time that we both could actually,
Oh,
be together and staying up so late. And, you have time for your family as well.
oh, thank
So I hope you enjoy an amazing trip, a short trip with your family as well.
you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Yes. Right.
And is do email me your address and everything and all that. I will send you some stuff.
So much. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Namaste and
Namaste,
also my help.
sawadika. Live
Sawadee-krap.
life, be healthy,
All
okay,
right.
and be creative. Take care. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.